Hollywood's shining stars often hid personal struggles behind their glamorous exteriors. Many renowned celebrities battled alcohol addiction, with their heavy drinking habits often affecting their careers and relationships. From legends to modern-day icons, these stars had their own issues with alcohol consumption, sometimes leading to public scandals, personal downfalls, and even tragic deaths. Here are 15 Hollywood celebrities who were well known for their drinking problems. Frank Sinatra's smooth voice and suave demeanor masked his serious alcohol problem.
When the rhythm start to play, dance with me, make me sway.
Throughout his career, Sinatra was rarely seen without a glass of whiskey in hand, often consuming up to a bottle of Jack Daniels a day. His drinking habits were notorious, and he was known for hosting wild parties with the Rat Pack. Despite his immense talent, his temper could be volatile when intoxicated, leading to public altercations and heated arguments. His marriages were strained due to his drinking, and his ex-wife, Ava Gardner, was one of the many who witnessed his volatile side. He would frequently spend days drinking and would sometimes show up for performances drunk. Still, Sinatra managed to maintain a legendary career, but struggled with health issues due to years of heavy drinking. He died in 1998, and his love for Jack Daniels was evident when he was buried with a bottle of it. Richard Burton, one of the greatest actors of his time, battled alcohol addiction throughout his life. Known for his passionate and turbulent marriage to Elizabeth Taylor, their relationship was often overshadowed by their shared alcoholism. Burton would consume up to 3 bottles of vodka a day, which severely impacted his health and personal life. His drinking habits were notorious on movie sets, often showing up to work intoxicated or hungover, which created tension among his co-stars.
Would you talk about booze for a moment?
If you like.
As a kind of maybe public service or whatever.
I think I've done enough public service in that direction. However, if it helps anybody, yes.
Despite attempts to quit drinking, Burton's addiction took a toll on his career and personal relationships. He famously said, "I drink because I want to, and I want to." His health deteriorated rapidly as a result of his drinking, and Burton passed away in 1984, leaving behind a legacy marred by his battles with alcoholism. Joan Crawford, an icon of old Hollywood, was as famous for her drinking habits as she was for her acting talent. Crawford's alcohol abuse began in the 1940s and continued throughout her life. She would often drink excessively during her downtime, with vodka and gin being her go-to choices.
Well, first of all, I'm stage struck, and I think they all know that. Secondly, I try to get a film that has audience identification.
Now, stars...
Her alcoholism reportedly fueled her abusive behavior towards her children, which was famously chronicled in her daughter Christina Crawford's book, Mommy Dearest. The book revealed stories of Joan's violent, drunken outbursts, including physical abuse. Her alcoholism also caused problems on set, where her temper could lead to unpredictable behavior. Joan's personal and professional life unraveled in the latter years, and her drinking only worsened. She died in 1977, leaving behind a legacy that remains controversial due to her addiction and destructive behavior. Leonard Nimoy, best known for his role as Spock in Star Trek, had a hidden battle with alcohol.
Mr. Spock, are you all right?
Yes, I believe no permanent damage was done.
What happened?
The occipital area of my head seems to have impacted with the arm of the chair.
No, Mr.
Nimoy admitted that he used drinking to cope with the pressures of fame and the stress of his career. During the Star Trek years, Nimoy struggled with an alcohol addiction that interfered with his performances and personal life. He was often seen drinking heavily at Hollywood parties and would later joke about his heavy drinking in interviews. However, he eventually acknowledged his problem and took steps towards recovery. In the 1980s, Nimoy became sober, and in his later years, he became an advocate for addiction recovery, sharing his story of overcoming alcoholism. His health had already been impacted, and he passed away in 2015 from lung disease, a condition exacerbated by years of alcohol and smoking. Peter O'Toole was infamous for his alcoholic tendencies, even in Hollywood's party scene. The Irish actor, known for his roles in Lawrence of Arabia and The Lion in Winter, was rarely seen without a drink in his hand.
Annie.
O'Toole's drinking habit was so severe that he admitted to consuming 2 to 3 bottles of vodka daily. He often boasted that he could never be sober during filming, even when making major Hollywood blockbusters. His alcoholism created many personal issues, and his behavior became increasingly erratic over the years. Despite numerous attempts at rehabilitation, O'Toole never fully recovered from his addiction, and it ultimately contributed to his health problems. He passed away in 2013 after a long battle with his drinking. He remains remembered for his incredible talent and as an example of the devastating effects of alcoholism. Elizabeth Taylor, a star of epic proportions, struggled with alcoholism for much of her life. Known for her legendary roles in films like Cleopatra and Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, Taylor's personal life was equally as tumultuous.
Only the bold and candid pen of John O'Hara can tell her story. Only Elizabeth Taylor can live it.
She famously battled a pill and alcohol addiction, with her drinking exacerbating her relationship issues. Taylor's heavy drinking led to multiple failed marriages, particularly with Richard Burton, whom she married twice. At one point, Taylor admitted to drinking large quantities of vodka daily, even confessing that it was a way to deal with the pressures of fame. While Taylor sought treatment and briefly became sober in the 1980s, her battle with addiction never fully went away. She passed away in 2011, leaving behind a legacy both marred and enriched by her struggles with alcoholism. Oliver Reed was known for his wild drinking habits that often overshadowed his acting career. A celebrated actor with roles in films such as Gladiator and Women in Love, Reed had a reputation for being a drunken rebel on set.
If you're sitting there building little walls and looking after trees and nurturing dragonflies, let me just throw something very nastily at you, which is a description by a lady of your house, right? Now, just keep quiet till I've read it. The atmosphere is live with sexuality. The clock tower, the forest of chimneys, the very fence posts are a riot of phallic celebration.
She was good.
His drinking was so notorious that it became a source of entertainment for others in the industry. Reed would often show up to set intoxicated, and in one incident, he reportedly drank so much that he had to be physically carried off the set. His behavior spiraled out of control in his later years, and despite several attempts at rehabilitation, Reed continued to drink heavily. He passed away in 1999 after suffering a heart attack during a drinking binge in Malta at the age of 61. Michael Landon, the beloved star of Little House on the Prairie and Highway to Heaven, had a much darker side due to his struggle with alcoholism. In his early years, Landon drank heavily, often turning to alcohol to cope with personal turmoil and stress. His addiction led to some poor decisions, including troubled relationships with his co-stars and several failed marriages.
It's really a matter of your loved ones becoming more precious to you, because they're as precious as they can be. It's that you just notice more. You don't want to miss anything.
However, Landon sought treatment for his alcoholism, and he became sober in his later years. Despite his recovery, alcohol had already taken a toll on his health, and he passed away from pancreatic cancer in 1991. His journey from addiction to recovery inspired many, though it was not without its challenges. Errol Flynn, the swashbuckling actor of Captain Blood and The Adventures of Robin Hood, had an infamous reputation for drinking. Known for his charm and good looks, Flynn's heavy drinking often led to chaos and mischief.
You want the girl?
Why not? And I'm willing to pay for what I want. Kovsek, you boast the knowledge of pearls. At what do you value each of those?
Oh, 1,000 pieces each.
They're worth rather more. But very well. Here are 12. For 3/5 the value of the prize due your ship for having made the capture. For the share due my men, I make myself responsible.
He famously boasted about consuming massive amounts of alcohol, and it was said that he could outdrink anyone. Flynn's excessive drinking was tied to a reckless lifestyle that included drug use and affairs. His addiction affected both his career and personal life, leading to multiple scandals. Flynn was known to show up drunk to movie sets and would sometimes have to be carried off. His drinking contributed to a decline in his health, and he passed away from a heart attack in 1959 at just 50 years old. Humphrey Bogart, one of the greatest actors in Hollywood history, was also notorious for his alcoholism. Known for his roles in Casablanca and The Maltese Falcon, Bogart's tough guy image matched his fondness for drinking.
Going to wait for him to come out? It'll close for another hour or so. It's raining pretty hard.
I got my car.
Yeah, that's right. You know, it just happened. I got a bottle of pretty good rye in my... I'd a lot rather get wet in here.
Well.
He would often be seen with a scotch in hand, especially after long days on set. Bogart's alcohol problem began in his younger years and worsened as he grew older. His drinking was said to have affected his relationships, including with his second wife, actress Lauren Bacall. Despite his addiction, Bogart's hard-drinking persona only added to his allure and helped cement his place in Hollywood history. Bogart passed away in 1957 from esophageal cancer, but his drinking undoubtedly played a role in his untimely death. Judy Garland, the beloved star of The Wizard of Oz, had a tragic battle with addiction that included alcohol. From a young age, she was subjected to immense pressure by Hollywood executives, who pushed her to take pills to control her weight and energy levels. This led to a cycle of substance abuse, and she later turned to alcohol to cope with her declining career and personal struggles.
Come on, let's show him.
You bet we'll show him.
From coast to coast, from Canada to Mexico, they're doing a new dance, a tried and the true dance that will sweep the land, and you'll think it's so grand you'll have...
Garland's drinking intensified as she faced financial difficulties and multiple failed marriages. She would often show up intoxicated on set, leading to frequent firings from movie studios. Despite attempts at rehab, her addiction persisted. In 1969, she was found dead from an accidental overdose, though alcohol played a role in her declining health. Garland's story remains one of Hollywood's most tragic, highlighting the industry's exploitation of young stars and the devastating effects of addiction. W.C. Fields, one of Hollywood's most famous comedians, was rarely seen without a drink. His love for alcohol was no secret. He even incorporated his drinking habits into his comedic persona.
Nights I used to tend bar. Would you entertain a proposition to direct this picture? Take a gambler's chance on a percentage of the profits basis?
Yes, just a moment. Was I in here last night and did I spend a $20 bill?
Yeah.
Oh, boy, what a load that is off my mind. I thought I'd lost it.
Fields was known for carrying flasks filled with whiskey, even on movie sets, and often kept a bottle in his dressing room. His drinking eventually became excessive, leading to health problems and a strained career. Despite being a comedic genius, his alcoholism affected his work, making him unreliable on set. Studio executives attempted interventions, but Fields refused to quit drinking. His addiction eventually led to cirrhosis of the liver, and he died in 1946. Even in his final days, he reportedly refused water and asked for whiskey instead. Fields remains a legendary comedian, but his alcoholism is a key part of his complex legacy. Marlon Brando, one of the most celebrated actors in Hollywood history, struggled with alcohol addiction for much of his life. Known for his performances in A Streetcar Named Desire and The Godfather, Brando's drinking was often fueled by personal issues, including childhood trauma and the pressures of fame.
Marlon, what were the shows that you've done in New York? Name one or two for me.
I was in Canada with Catherine Cornell.
Yes.
And I was in Eagle Rampant with Tallulah Bankhead.
Yes.
And
I remember Mama.
with Sophie Rosenstein.
Not quite.
And,
Oh, Truckline Cafe.
oh yeah, Truckline Cafe.
As his career progressed, Brando's drinking worsened, affecting his weight and work ethic. He became notorious for showing up drunk on set and forgetting his lines. His alcoholism also contributed to strained relationships with his children and romantic partners. Brando attempted rehab multiple times, but he never fully quit drinking. By the end of his life, he was reclusive and suffered from numerous health issues caused by his alcohol consumption. Despite his struggles, Brando remains one of Hollywood's greatest actors, though his battle with addiction is a significant part of his story. Ava Gardner, one of Hollywood's most glamorous actresses, had a deeply troubled relationship with alcohol. Throughout her career, Gardner drank excessively, often seen with a glass of whiskey or vodka in hand.
More of the same for the king.
Yes, sir.
What news from the gaming table?
Very good. Alberto's having a fantastic time.
It's about time. Last night, that Greek took him for a whole South American jungle. You know something? Off the screen, I don't think I've ever seen you laugh before.
I feel very good.
Her addiction was fueled by heartbreak, particularly after her divorce from Frank Sinatra, which left her emotionally devastated. Her drinking led to erratic behavior, mood swings, and difficulty maintaining relationships. Gardner's health declined due to years of heavy drinking, and by the time she retired, she was reportedly drinking a bottle of gin a day. In her later years, she suffered from liver disease and financial struggles, forcing her to rely on friends for support. Despite her personal demons, Gardner remains an icon of Hollywood's golden age, but her alcoholism left a lasting mark on her personal and professional life. Clark Gable, best known as Rhett Butler in Gone with the Wind, had a long history of alcohol dependency.
Come in.
Hello, fellas.
Hello.
So that's why you birds got me up here, eh? I thought it was for a stud game.
We're through playing with you, Manny. You owe everybody here dough. Big dough. And we're gonna collect.
Well, what if I haven't got it to pay you?
You got it. You won 40 grand on the Harry Greb fight.
Gable's drinking was often linked to stress and personal tragedy, including the death of his wife, Carol Lombard. To cope, he turned to alcohol, often consuming excessive amounts of whiskey. His drinking habits affected his relationships, and his later marriages were strained due to his alcohol use. On set, Gable remained professional, but those close to him knew that he often drank heavily in private. His alcoholism led to health issues, including high blood pressure and heart disease, which contributed to his fatal heart attack in 1960. Despite his struggles, Gable remains one of Hollywood's greatest leading men, though his battle with alcohol was a hidden burden throughout his career. Each of these icons had their own battles with alcoholism, with some eventually managing to recover, while others' careers and lives were tragically altered by their dependence on alcohol. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more deep dives into Hollywood's hidden stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Which celebrity story surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Also, if there's a topic you'd love to see covered next, drop your suggestions. We love hearing from you. We love hearing from you.